6 p.m. in Binjang village, some 12 kilometers away from Nkambe, chief town of the Donga Mountain Division in the northwest region of Cameroon. It is the same time at the Congress Hall in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. Ladies and gentlemen, you are on to the primetime newscast on EQUINOXE television. We are live from our central news desk in Douala, Cameroon. In this edition of the newscast, question that is hanging on the air is to know the true faces behind the repentant Amazonian fighters presented to the world today in the nation's political capital at Yaoundé Conference Center, as Cameroon is standing up with ears open and eyes focused on Yaoundé, where the major national dialogue convened by President Paul Biya has kick-started today. We'll give you some of the key aspects of this national dialogue in this edition of the newscast, some key declarations, and we shall equally be giving you the effects of the worsening Anglophone crisis in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon and the necessity for the dialogue that has opened in Yaoundé to find a solution to the worsening crisis. That is the lone and top story. Thanks for joining me. It is the primetime newscast. We are live from Douala, Cameroon. We begin with the major news event across Cameroon. Cameroonian friends in Africa, out of Africa, are focused on what obtains as far as the major national dialogue that has kick-started in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, is concerned. And the delegates coming from the 10 regions of Cameroon, over 500 of them have converged so far at the Yaoundé Conference Center under the patronage of Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gutti, who is leading the major national dialogue. It kick-started in the early hours of today with some key declarations from the Prime Minister, head of government, who was opening the event with a key speech calling on Cameroonians to consider this moment as strategic. They should know that the world is watching, equally know that Cameroonians are looking up to them not to fail, because if they fail this time around, history will stand to haunt them. We go back to an excerpt of Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Gutti.
The major national dialogue convened by the President of the Republic to bring together Cameroonians of goodwill in the same place and space offers us the unexpected opportunity for a collective start aimed at finding concrete and pragmatic solutions, far from petty squabbles, to the problems that have separated us physically and intellectually in recent times. This dialogue offers us the opportunity to find, in the model of the commitment of our country's founding fathers, the strength to transcend our differences and to make our cultural diversity a source of wealth for our people. If history has made us heirs to two official languages, English and French, we should use them as a source of opportunity and not as a source to undermine our living together. We should make them levers of our social progress and not obstacles leading us towards the unknown abyss of division and separation. From this perspective, the gravity of the situation in the northwest and southwest regions must challenge and concern us. Above all, it must oblige us all, individually and collectively, regardless of our regions of origin, of our political or religious convictions, to achieve a result, that is to restore peace and tranquility in these two regions. It is the quest for this objective that must, as everyone knows, drive us during the next 4 days of our meeting at this crucial time in our history. Cameroonians are watching us. The whole world is watching us. It is now up to us to show how to make history. Do we want future generations to remember that we were unable to find consensual answers to concerns that are not insoluble? Or do we want to be considered as true peacemakers in resolving this crisis that has deprived many of our children of their parents, their education, and threatened their future, sometimes irreversibly?
Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Ngute equally said the major national dialogue is an opportunity for participants and Cameroonians at large to improve on their living conditions and living together. Take a listen to him once again.
The destiny and relevance of the contributions collected through different channels during the consultations I've held over the past 2 weeks and even before, on the instructions of the head of state, have enabled me to appreciate the eagerness of our compatriots to work in one way or another to restore social peace, resume economic activities, and rebuild infrastructure in the northwest and southwest regions of our country. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, this major national dialogue that brings us together throughout this week will undoubtedly allow us to deepen our reflection on various issues related to the future of our country. In accordance with the roadmap defined by the head of state, our discussions will focus specifically on 8 themes, namely bilingualism, cultural diversity and social cohesion, the educational system, the judicial system, assistance for the return of refugees and displaced persons, the reconstruction and development of the regions affected by this crisis, disarmament, demobilization and reintegration of ex-combatants from armed groups, the role of the diaspora in the crisis and their contribution to the country's development, and finally, decentralization and local development. These themes will be discussed during plenary sessions, then further developed within the framework of work in commissions, which will begin late this afternoon.
That was the Prime Minister Chief Dr. Joseph John Ngute opening the ceremony in Yaoundé. One of the key attractions of this event in Yaoundé was the presentation of some 30 young men and women. They all dressed in, they were presented as repentant Amazonian fighters, led by one of them, Kawaya Nig. The young guys dressed in green, red, and yellow T-shirts opened the events with this by singing the Cameroonian national anthem. They were equally given the rostrum, and of course, with one of them, their leader, Kawaya Nig, expressing reasons why they took up arms against the Cameroonian state. Speaking, he indicated that they were angry over the marginalization of Anglophones being treated as second-class citizens in Cameroon. But shortly after the appearance of these guys in Yaoundé, there have been reactions, counter-reactions on social media of as far as who these persons really are, and of course some news organs, notably one blogger, a Cameroonian blogger or a Cameroonian blog registered in the United Kingdom, indicated that an undisclosed source identified 2 of the guys presented as individuals living in a locality known as Compina, that is a locality in Bonalea in the Mungo division of the Littoral region. Some of them were identified by this said anonymous source as Third Desmond Niba, with the junior brother, and of course indicating that they are individuals, some of them who have not been through this region. However, we cannot independently confirm this, but what is certain is that there have been counter reactions on social media on who these persons really are. Kawayanik, on his part, is not appearing on the media for the very first time. Those in Kumba knows Kawayanik as so well. Kawayanik has made several outings in Kumba on media organs calling on back to school, and of course he's equally accompanied the government's humanitarian that is government's humanitarian team to distribute humanitarian aid plans to localities in the southwest region, like the Manu division and parts of the Meme division in the southwest region of Cameroon. Kawayanik before today is known to be a separatist fighter, but however some of the persons who accompanied him have equally been identified on social media as persons who are not living in the two English-speaking regions of Cameroon even before the start of the crisis. That is according to social media. We cannot independently confirm this, but their declaration has so far attracted a round of applause from persons who gathered at the Yaoundé Conference Center. We propose to you an excerpt of Kawayanik, who led this delegation of ex-Ambazonian combatants.
Peace, work, fatherland is the motto of Cameroon. The motto of Cameroon says peace, work, fatherland, and this is the reason why peace comes first. It is because peace is very important.
I want you to give
every country, in every country, everything we do, without peace there is not economic activities. Without peace there is no development. Without peace there is no schools for our children, no church, no market, no happiness. We must bring peace to Cameroon. Our Cameroon national anthem says that we will win in toil and love and peace. Now it's time to toil. Now it's time to live, to love. Now it's time to love of ourselves, love of our neighbors, love of our country. Now it's time for peace. How do we get that peace? We must de-radicalize all the Amba fighters still in the bush. We must show them love. We must bring them home to Cameroon, just like I find myself back home. They too are lost. We must help them come back home.
And he equally indicated that they took up arms against the government of Cameroon because of the marginalization of Anglophones who, according to him, have always been considered as second-class citizens in Cameroon. And he went further to state that they decided to drop their arms because the struggle took a different direction. Kawayanik once again.
But for us to start, or for us to talk, is all about we need to go back to the cause of this problem. What happened before we come out, become gods to fight our nation. Some of this reason is very simple, which is marginalization. We were treated as second-class citizens in our own in our own father's land or our motherland. Some of us are degree holders. Some of us are educated, but we got no jobs in our own fatherland or motherland. There are companies located around our areas, but most of those companies are run by French-speaking Cameroonians. We in our own area, we don't have an opportunity to work in those companies. For example, I will call Kafiko in Osini. Most of the administrators there are run by the French-speaking Cameroonians. We have CDC. Almost all the administrators are run by French-speaking Cameroonians. If you are in your own country and a proud citizen of your country, Are you sure you're going to take such thing? If we all are Cameroonians, why were we treated that way? That is those are the reasons why we pick up guns to fight.
And local community efforts have, however, been multiplied in the northwest and southwest regions where peace is continuously being threatened as a result of the worsening Anglophone crisis. In the Donga Mountain Division, administrative authorities, local administrators, religious leaders and traditional rulers have been part of a peace-building initiative taken by the United Nations Development Program together with some local organizations. More in the following report. Amidst the worsening effects of the Anglophone crisis, administrative, religious authorities, traditional rulers, men, women and youth of the Donga Mountain Division in the Northwest region believe that peace building remains the key mechanism to prevent conflict, antagonism or violence. They are witnesses to the enormous material and human loss by their community to the socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon, and could not hesitate to be part of the African Justice for Peace Association with the UN Development Program to promote peace building in Donga Mountain.
It offered us the opportunity to awaken the consciences of our populations, some of whom had already been taken over by the protracted socio-political crisis rocking the northwest and southwest regions.
AJA and the United Nations Development Program believe it is strategic and necessary to promote social and economic cohesion in the division and other parts of the northwest and southwest regions now that the people need it most.
This should be extended to division or subdivision because it is very important to create awareness, more especially this time that we need peace.
We have a lot to do in Mbembe, that's Ako subdivision, especially my village Berabe. Was a lot of difficult. For now, I am displaced. I'm in Kambe Palace with my family members for 10 months today. My palace has been burned down. My residence in Ako subdivision has been burned down. My property and everything of my family members.
It is our hope the whole of Donga Mountain still needs peace and such programs like this, so that the other areas like Ako, Ndu, and Wa will also be included.
Grateful for the efforts of community leaders and the UNDP, CEO Abanda Marcel of AJA outlined that they will continue to strengthen interaction and engagement between leadership, confessional groups and community leaders.
We equally have some serious activities in Cambe and Mr. J equally, where the pilot phase of the economic and social economic empowerment of this project is taking place. So this project started in July and will be ending in March 2020, which is aimed at restoring peace in the division.
The implementation phase also includes the involvement of media personnel, education stakeholders to foster intercultural dialogue and develop alternative mechanisms to conflict, as well as involve local mediators in a division which before the Anglophone crisis suffered farmer-grazier problem and intertribal conflicts. Thanks for staying with us, ladies and gentlemen. Up next is Talking Point. On Talking today, we are taking you on a special edition to Yaoundé, where the major national dialogue is taking place. A compilation of some key actors who took part in the opening ceremony of the national dialogue today in Yaoundé. They were interviewed by Babila Jonathan.
We've been saying this for more than 3 years, whilst as president of the consortium until date. The fundamental problems in this country is the form of the state. We cannot address the solution without talking about the form of the state. It's not possible. Okay, the decentralization, this is 23 years ago. It's enshrined in the 1996 constitution. It has not been implemented, and we are talking about it today. There's bilingualism, multiculturalism, and the other problems. But, and I repeat, if we have to come out of this problem, if we are not here just for showmanship, if we are not here for cosmetic purposes, we need to talk about the form of a state. That is very fundamental. And when we get in the plenary, we would raise the issue. They would have to amend things so that we address it. because we will not come here. Our people are watching, our people are looking. The aspirations of the people of Southern Cameroon are on us, and we need to speak on their behalf. The mothers in the bushes, the children who are not going to school, they want us to speak. We should not make the same errors that we made in Fumba. Let us look each other in the eyes as Cameroonians and address the major issue. And to me, and to most of the other Anglophones have spoken here who've come as participants, the biggest problem is the form of a state. We would have to debate that. We'll have to discuss that. We'll have to address that. We might not find a solution here. I don't expect us to solve all the problems in this country today. But at least let us be honest and sincere enough to address the fundamental issues.
I think we are getting together trying to look for solutions. But I believe that these solutions should be looked from a deep-seated heart of truth, that we should come out reconciling ourselves. Coming to a dialogue like this is one thing. Talking is another thing. But implementing what we think and taking the concerns of the people is another thing. Because the way things are going, it seems as if they already have their resolutions under their armpit to tell you that do this, do that. Because the SDF in its position as a major party in the north and southwest were not consulted in most of the things. The delegates that went out have not been told of who is in the SDF in these commissions. So I start wondering, but I am prepared to follow it to the end and to make sure that the feelings and the concerns of the SDF and the Cameroonian people are exposed.
You have been clamoring for a return to the federal system, and there is decentralization on the agenda.
Decentralization is dead. It's not effective. It's not practical. It's been proven. We talk of a two-state federation, the East and West Cameroon. Then under this two-state federation, we have more federated states again among them. The Southwest, a region, can now have other regions in the Southwest that from the federated state of the Southwest. And in the North, it's the same thing. Sonara is gone. The people that banned Sonara, because they have chopped so much money, Sonara is owing over 200 billion, an industry that is producing fuel where we should be enjoying out of. Now, so when these things are done with impunity, and since Sonara came up, no Anglophone has ever been a leader, a manager in Sonara. So if Sonara that extracts oil is going, plantations are going, and all this are managed by appointed people, we believe that we need a federal system where the people will take their responsibilities and take care of their issues.
A word of advice to all the participants?
That we should talk from our hearts, we should be honest, we should be sincere, we should be faithful and truthful in what we are saying, and implement truly what we come out of here with, not what has been prepared by the state.
I'm happy that the ex-combatants, what we call the Hamba boys, are there. And I'm very, very happy about that, their participation. Of course, the Prime Minister's speech, I can say I was 100% satisfied. I have that impression because quite a number of those from outside, that is those who are thought to be against, the administration, quite a number are present, quite a number are here, and that is a good sign. Everything should be put on the table. Nothing should be omitted.
I'll use this occasion, first of all, to congratulate all those, especially from the CPDM, who were against this dialogue and are here today. I want to tell them that we couldn't have avoided this, and it would have been a very good thing if we would have been here in 2017. But nonetheless, we're here today. It's always better late than never. And so on the basis of what the Prime Minister said today, he gave us a leeway and opening. It's up to the participants now to try to push the agenda so that the Cameroonians of Southern Cameroon's extraction can come back to their original point of well-being, where they were before they got into this social contract that today more or less no longer exists. So we will have to be able to speak the truth. We'll have to be able to look at each other straight into our eyes. We'll have to be able to forgive, and we'll have to be conscious of the fact that as we are sitting here in Yaoundé today, many people still hold weapons back in the bush, and we don't have to forget the fact that people are still being killed right now, and everything we're supposed to do here is supposed to help to bring peace to the northwest and the southwest region.
Among the 8 issues mentioned by the Prime Minister to be discussed here is decentralization. Will you continue to press for federalism?
Of course. Of course. When you talk about decentralization, you talk about the form of the state. So it's up to us to push it up to that side. Let me just say the simple fact that we are sitting here today means the regime has recognized there is a problem, which is already a big advancement. And the fact that decentralization has been put on the agenda, it's now up to us to be able to go in there and tell them that decentralization has failed for 23 years and we need to go further. Now, we are in a process of dialogue. It's not a negotiation. It's not a give and take exercise. And people will have to voice out. And what we hope is that all those of former Southern Cameroon's extraction at this dialogue will speak from the bottom of their minds, will speak all what they have and will speak only the truth, and will come out to stand for it as well. And I think if that happens, everybody will come out of this place satisfied. Now, if people want to force on the southwest and northwest population dispensations that are not up to their expectations, it will be difficult that this exercise brings the peace we expect. You have to understand that even in the Constitution of Cameroon, I think it's section 64 if I'm not mistaken, there is a provision for a special status to be given to any region. And so we need to really look at all what we have on hand today to make sure that the northwest and the southwest and the people of the ex-Southern Cameroons no longer feel marginalized, no longer suffer from the frustrations that brought about this war. We cannot come and sit here in Yaoundé for 4 days and pretend, and I think most of those I have met here today are not here to pretend.
We are very pleased that this day has finally come. We've been waiting for this. We know the untold suffering that is happening in our area, and we pray that these 5 days that we are going to deliberate here are going to yield some very important points that will come in to solve this crisis, so that we can bring life to normalcy in our 2 speaking regions. It's not been easy. We are people who are on the ground and we master what is happening. So I was very pleased with what the Prime Minister said, and we were very pleased with the President to have convened this major national dialogue for us to look at the root causes and the problems of this Anglophone crisis, so that we lay it to rest. People were complaining about SCBM hijacking the meeting. No, they were pre-consultations. They've not even seen the list of those who are going to participate. People were being consulted on different categories. SD has been consulted 3 times. 3 times, I can remember. So those were the people that were pre-consulted. We are now going to have a list of those who are going to participate in the dialogue. Those are the participants. And that's why they've taken them from all walks of life. It's not only from the CPDM. It's not that this is more than a political party issue. This is a national issue that is affecting the lives of our junior ones, our brothers and sisters in the northwest and the southwest. So it cannot be up to CPDM or up to any political party. It's a national issue, and all the citizens and brothers of northwest and sisters of northwest and southwest have to get involved and bring a solution.
We are all happy, as you can see, the massive turnout. What I can say is that we should go in for frank dialogue, frank discussion. We should forget about where we are coming from to see how together we can build a united Cameroon. I'm very optimistic with the speech of the Prime Minister. You know, he had made it clear that there are going to be different committees that will sit to deliberate on this issue. That is to say that there is no hidden agenda or there is no pre-program. Those of us who are going to take part in the dialogue will bring up proposals, and from these proposals we are going to get to a conclusion.
Key participants of the major national dialogue in Cameroon interviewed by Babila Jonathan at the Yaoundé Conference Center. There are over 500 of them coming from the 10 regions of Cameroon, with more than 300 or so from the northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. That's all for this edition of the news. We wish you a blessed stay in the company of programs on Equinox Television.